If you're watching this, chances are you're probably wondering to yourself, why is it that you're seeing pictures of me through what seems to be various stages of my life? Well, I promise you this. If you stick around past these pictures, I will be explaining it in a moment. Alright, so thank you for sticking around through that little collage of mine. The entire reason why I actually posted that is, quite frankly, just to kind of show my little experience throughout the years. When I first started my YouTube channel, it was quite literally shortly after my best friend and surrogate sister had died. It was also around the time of COVID. I don't remember if it was before COVID or after COVID. I was doing a lot of driving, and yeah, even though at that time I was probably, up until now actually, the most physically fit I had ever been. As you saw from the first picture, I'd been quite skinny, and then sometime in my mid-20s, in the deepest phases of my depression, not the worst, but it was getting there, between a lot of accidents that I'm not gonna get into it, but, and the depression, I got into a point in my life where I couldn't really move past the couch, and I spent a good portion of my mid-20s like that, until one day I just got tired of it. I remembered how much I used to like walking, but I wasn't like a jog. But still, I decided to start walking again. I decided to start working out again. I decided to start running again. At one point, I was able to run a mile in under 4 minutes 30 seconds. I could run 3 miles in about 15 minutes. And then my best friend died. COVID hit. And like, my best friend died 6 months later, COVID hit. And then like a year and a half after my best friend died, I almost died from severe dehydration due to the job that I was working at. So that caused me to gain a lot of weight again. I was not as heavy as I was during my mid-20s, but I was pretty up there for someone that's normally around 160, 165 healthy, fit. 220 is pretty high, and like, that is, I got a naturally high metabolism, so that was really pushing it for me. Again, I started getting out of my depression. I started working back out, this time because I have a lot of back issues. I decided, you know what, I'm gonna actually do this right. I'm gonna work out starting bottom first, work out my issues, do the stretching that I need to do the physical therapy exercises that I need to do, and just slowly work back up with the 2 steps forward, 1 step back mentality. If for every 2 steps forward that I take, if during the progress, because something got readjusted, some muscle that was asleep for who knows how long finally activated, causing everything else to just kind of go out of whack for a little bit. Whatever. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Go for a walk once a month, down the block and back. Next time I go for that walk, maybe the next month, do it twice. Go for a walk every 3 weeks. Go for a walk every 2 weeks. Go for a walk every 1 week, every week. Start going to the gym. Start doing calisthenics. Start doing physical therapy exercises. That's also the reason why I've got my playlist of unedited practice videos throughout the years, because that's when I started getting back into my physical therapy, into exercising. It was through my problems, and at that point I decided I'm gonna go ahead and start just making these videos so that people can see the progress. See that working out actually does, it might be slow. It is gonna be slow. If you're doing it right, it's gonna be, feels like agonizingly slow. Because you're not gonna see the instant results. You never are. But then you're gonna realize, hey, this exercise that I'm doing doesn't leave me as exhausted. I'm able to pick up heavier weights for longer. I'm able to move better. I'm able to move without pain, which is for me been the driving goal for everything. Anyways, all this wraps up to this final big thing. Besides just, so you understand, one final thing before I go into the actual point. I've suffered with crippling depression for most of my life. I've been suicidal for 20 years before I actually started getting help in therapy. It's been about almost 10 years for me since I stopped wanting to die. I'm not going to say that every day is easy, but it got easier. It took a lot of self-feeling, a lot of self-forgiveness, a lot of hard work, and a lot of mentally reframing things. It took a long time before my go-to thought when something horrible happened was, I might as well just die. Because I had to retrain myself. And it became so much worse after my best friend died. And all this is this. There is hope. If you're overweight, I'm not going to tell you it's easy. I'm going to tell you to make the decision and make it for yourself. I'm never going to push anyone one way or another. Because in the end, it's your decision. I'm going to tell you, though, that if you're suffering from mental health, from weight issues, there's hope. I'm still alive, and I've gone through so many weight gains and losses. I'm not exactly in the best position in my life, but I'm alive. Which brings me back to my final point here. A few years ago, I started drawing and painting a project on my birthday, which I'm probably not going to do exactly on my birthday this year, just to keep things vague. But at some point in the year, I am going to go on ahead and do this again, which is a bunch of semicolons and dots and spaces that represents how long I've been alive, with each semicolon representing a spot, a year actually, in which I actively tried. Yeah. I paint it, I draw it. This year I think I'm going to do both. I record it sometimes I'll post the videos. I don't think I actually have. I've maybe done one. This year I'm going to try to do it live when I have some time. If you guys want to watch it, I'll be more than happy. I'll be actually very thankful. If you don't, because you're just now catching the end of the video, then understand. But to everyone that's watched this, to everyone that's sat all the way through, thank you for listening to my story. I'm just a guy that works full-time, that's got severe ADHD and a lot of hobbies, but I've been in a very dark place for a good portion of my life. I'm not gonna tell you that it does get better, but it can get better. You just have to be willing and ready to put in some of the hardest work you've ever done in your life. But it's worth it. Thank you.